Hello, and welcome to the studio. Let's see what's on this loom and take a closer look. So come on a little closer. Okay, now that I have your attention, what I'm doing at the moment is weaving some 100% Tencel yarn that was hand dyed. The warp was hand dyed. It's kind of hard to see, but there was a little dark blue here. Now we're gradually going into a bronze, and I'm weaving with a turquoise color in the weft. And this is an advancing twill pattern, but I'm changing it up a little bit. I'll be weaving some more of that shortly. So let me just continue going along with the pattern. About weaving with this yarn in the warp being hand dyed, it changes colors. How I dye the warp to create a unique effect. So this particular piece will be made into a cowl. I also have some other fabric that I've woven underneath this. Let me see if I can zero in on that a little closer so you can see what's already been woven. All right, so down there's another group that's already been woven. Lots of shades of blue. There are, I believe, 2 scarves, maybe 3 scarves on that. And if you take a look, now you can see a little bit closer of the pattern that's being created as I'm weaving. So let's take a look at what's on the loom today. This is the my spring loom. It is threaded using 8 shafts. That's how I can get the pattern that's on here. We call this an advancing twill pattern. And what I did was I've already woven 1 scarf. The warp is hand dyed. It's just Tencel. So the warp was kind of this bronze color, but it still changed in shades. What I did was I wove with an eggplant. Now you can see the one side you see more eggplant, and on the other side you see a little more of the bronze. The other thing that I always do with scarves and shawls, if there's a fringe, I will also fringe twist the fringe and machine wash and dry it afterwards. So just a little example of this one. This is 12 inches, and after it was washed and dried, it shrunk down about 1.5 inches in width, just an example. Now, one of the things I like to do is sometimes when you're doing a complicated weave structure, you want to make sure that you didn't make any threading errors. Well, on this particular one, I made sure that when I looked up at all the heddles, they were all correct. The problem was one heddle was not threaded. Now, that's a problem when you have a hand-dyed warp normally, because normally you can't just add another color that you already have in the thread. So what are you going to do? Well, what I did was I literally cut the edge, the last one off, or I pulled it out. Then I had to carry it over, put it into the correct heddle. I did weave this particular scarf with 3 threads in 1 dent, but since this particular pattern is kind of dense and complicated, this particular error will not show. If I was doing something heavier or a tabby weave, that error with 3 threads in the reed would really show up. But this case it didn't. However, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to weaving, so I cut this one off, and now I'm starting with the next one. I already have the tension on. This is, you can see the color that comes next. it's using, now I'm using this blue, which is a skein that I actually dyed that matches this particular part of the loom. So I just want to go over a little bit of that information for you. And now I'm going to do a little bit of weaving. Like I said, this is an advancing twill. Now this is my little cheat sheet. So if you are a weaver, this is telling me that I start here. I'm going to go treadle 8, 7, 6, 5, 7, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, continue on until I get to 1. Then I'm going to go all the way up to 8 and backwards, and then I start in reverse. And you can see the advancing means I'm just changing it by 1 treadle, and it's how it's tied up. I'll put the reference in the heading or in the information to tell you where this particular pattern came from. All right, so I've already done the 8. There's my 8. Now I have to go back to the 7. Again. Now I have to tell you, with this particular loom, I can actually see my fancy footwork, or I can see my feet, so I can see what treadle I'm on. All right, now I'm at 1, and I'm going to go back and forth all the way. This is the easy part. And go back again. Now it might be a little hard to see the pattern because the contrast here is not as noticeable as the eggplant. Okay, now I'm going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I go 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, and last 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I just finished the pattern. And what's fun about this particular threading, you can thread it once and then you can change the tie up and get numerous patterns out of it. It's kind of fun, and you can also change your treadling. However, this particular treadling is to kind of look like the crystals that you might see on your glass window in the wintertime, the frosted crystals. That's what the person who designed this pattern was trying to replicate. Again, what will happen is, well, this will be machine washed. Well, actually, I'll twist the fringe, then I'll machine wash, and I do throw it in the dryer. If you finish with this, it's very stiff to begin with. Once it's machine wash and dry, there's really a nice drape in this particular fabric. So this is a little more information for some of you weavers who are interested in stepping out to do some fancier weave. This is one. Once you get the pattern down, kind of memorize it, you're off, and you can do all sorts of fun things. And again, thanks for watching.